Have you ever noticed that the more you ponder life's big questions, the more distant you sometimes feel from those around you? Maybe you found that as your understanding grows, your circle of listeners shrinks. If so, you're not alone. Throughout history, society has often been wary of those who think too deeply, not because their ideas are wrong, but because they reveal truths many would rather ignore. From the days of ancient Athens to the modern era, thinkers like Hypatia, Copernicus, and Alan Turing have faced skepticism, ridicule, or even outright hostility. Not because they lacked brilliance, but because their insights unsettled the comfortable certainties of their time. Friedrich Nietzsche once suggested that to see clearly is to stand alone. And perhaps there's more truth to that than we'd like to admit. But why does this happen? Why do those who question, analyze, and reflect often find themselves on the margins? The answer lies deep within the way our minds work. Consider this. When you meet someone who's physically strong, you might admire their power. If you encounter someone wealthy, you might feel a twinge of envy, but rarely does it shake your sense of self. But when you're faced with someone who thinks on a different level, someone who challenges your beliefs or sees connections you've missed, it can feel unsettling, even threatening. Psychologists call this the intellectual mirror. Deep thinkers don't just share new ideas, they reflect back the limitations of those around them. This reflection can be uncomfortable because it forces people to confront their own blind spots. Often, it's easier to dismiss the thinker than to wrestle with the discomfort of self-examination. Unlike physical traits or material possessions, intelligence is closely tied to our identity. We define ourselves by our thoughts, our opinions, our worldview. When someone questions those foundations, it can feel like a personal attack, even if that's not their intention. That's why, instead of admiration, deep thinkers often encounter resistance or indifference. Think about your own experiences. Have you ever tried to bring up a profound idea in a casual conversation, only to be met with awkward silence or a quick change of subject? It's not just coincidence. Our brains are wired to protect our sense of self. When faced with ideas that challenge our worldview, we instinctively defend ourselves, sometimes by ignoring, sometimes by dismissing, and sometimes by pushing the thinker away. This isn't just a social phenomenon, it's rooted in our biology. For most of human history, survival depended on fitting in with the group, not standing out. Our ancestors thrived in communities where conformity meant safety. Being too different, especially in thought, could mean isolation, and isolation was dangerous. Even today, our brains are more attuned to social. Modern research supports this. Studies show that when people feel intellectually threatened, the same parts of the brain that respond to physical danger light up. In group settings, this effect is even stronger. When someone stands out as a deep thinker, others may feel their social status is at risk, leading to subtle or overt exclusion. Cognitive biases also play a role. The Dunning-Kruger effect, for example, means those with less knowledge often overestimate their understanding, while those who know more tend to doubt themselves. Add in our natural preference for familiar ideas, known as status quo bias, and it's easy to see why new, challenging thoughts are often met with resistance. In today's digital world, these tendencies are amplified. Social media rewards quick takes and catchy sound bites, not nuanced discussion. The more complex or thoughtful an idea, the harder it is to make it go viral. As a result, deep thinkers can feel even more isolated, their voices drowned out by the noise of the crowd. So, what can we do? If you're someone who values deep thought, it's important to recognize that resistance isn't always personal. It's a natural response shaped by psychology, biology, and culture.
But that doesn't mean you should stop asking questions or sharing your insights. In fact, the world needs deep thinkers now more than ever. Remember, the path of the philosopher has always been a lonely one, but it's also a path that shapes the future. Embrace your curiosity, seek out others who value depth, and don't be afraid to stand apart. After all, every great leap in human understanding began with someone who dared to think differently.